The city was silent. The human walked slowly through the broken streets, his boots crushing dust and glass. Towers that once touched the clouds now leaned like dying trees. The sky was painted red as if the sun itself was bleeding. He had seen many ruined worlds, but this one felt different. It was too quiet, no birds, no wind, no life. Only whispers that seemed to come from the stones themselves. The human carried a small pack on his back. Inside was a little food, a little water, and a knife that had saved his life more times than he could count. He kept his hand close to the knife. His eyes searched the shadows. Something was wrong here, then he heard it. A voice, faint, weak, trembling, "Please, help my children." The human stopped. His heart pounded. The voice came from ahead, near a fallen archway covered in strange, glowing marks. The marks pulsed softly like veins under skin. He stepped closer. Dust moved around his boots and the silence of the city grew heavier. Again the voice, "Please, help my children. They have not eaten for days." From the shadows a figure appeared, a woman. She was tall, thin, her skin pale like moonlight. Her eyes glowed faint blue, soft but sharp like two small stars. Her hair fell across her face in dark strands and her arms shook as she reached toward him. The human froze. This was no ordinary woman. She stepped forward slowly, carefully, as if afraid he would run. Her voice broke as she spoke again. "My children, they are weak. They are hungry. If you nourish them, if you give them strength, I will be yours forever." The human felt a cold wave pass through his body. The words were strange. Not just a plea, but a promise. He looked into her eyes. They were not human eyes. Too deep, too bright. They held both sadness and something darker, something hidden. He asked, his voice steady, "Who are you?" She bowed her head, whispering, "A mother." Nothing more. "A mother who begs. My children hide in the ruins. They are too weak to come out. Without food they will die." The human's hand tightened around the strap of his pack. He had food, yes, but only enough for himself. And yet he felt her pain. Her voice carried weight, heavy as chains. He wanted to turn away. He wanted to walk back into the empty streets and forget her. But something inside held him still. The air around her seemed alive, like the ruins themselves were listening. "Feed them," she said again, her tone sharper now, though still trembling. "Feed them and I will belong to you. I will serve you, follow you, protect you forever." The human swallowed hard. Was this a bargain, a curse, or just the desperate words of a broken mother? His eyes drifted past her into the darkness beyond the archway. It looked like a tunnel leading deep underground. Cold air spilled from it, carrying a faint smell, strange, metallic, sharp, like blood and stone mixed together. His heart warned him, danger, but his mind whispered curiosity. The woman's hands shook as she reached toward him again. Her fingers were long, too long, almost claw-like, but trembling with weakness. "Please," she whispered, "if they die, I will have nothing. Give them life, and I will give you mine." The human looked around the empty city once more. No voices, no footsteps, only her. She seemed alone, yet not truly alone. Shadows moved at the edges of his sight. He blinked and they were gone. He felt watched. The human took a step closer, his voice low. "Where are your children?" Her lips curved into a faint, broken smile. Relief flickered in her glowing eyes. "They are waiting," she said softly. "Waiting in the dark. They cannot walk anymore. Their bones are too thin, their mouths too dry. But if you come, they will know hope again." The human's chest tightened. Something about the way she spoke made the city itself feel heavier, as if the stones leaned closer to listen. She turned, her movements slow, graceful, but strange, like she was gliding more than walking. She pointed toward the tunnel beyond the arch. "They are inside. Follow me, do not be afraid." The human hesitated. Every instinct told him this was wrong. Dangerous, but every story he had ever heard, every world he had seen, told him one thing. Sometimes danger hides the greatest truths. His hand stayed close to his knife, but his feet began to move. Step by step, he followed her into the ruins. Behind him, the silent city seemed to sigh. Ahead of him, the tunnel opened like the mouth of a beast. The woman's voice echoed in the dark. "Do not be afraid. They are only children." And yet the human could not shake the feeling that once he entered that darkness, his life would never be the same again. The tunnel swallowed them whole. Cold air wrapped around the human like icy fingers. His boots scraped against stone and every sound echoed as if the walls were alive. The woman walked ahead, her pale figure glowing faintly in the darkness. Her steps made no noise, as if she floated instead of walked. The human's grip tightened on the knife at his side. He was no fool. This was not trust. This was survival. He studied her carefully as he followed. Her shoulders were thin, her arms trembling with weakness. Yet there was something powerful about her presence, something that made the shadows bend toward her. After some time, she stopped. She turned slowly, her glowing eyes staring into his. "Do you think me strange?" she asked softly. Her voice echoed off the stone walls, carrying both sadness and curiosity. The human said nothing. Silence was safer. She tilted her head, almost smiling, almost breaking. "I see it in your face. You wonder if I am real, or just a dream that will end when you wake." The human's jaw tightened. His voice was calm, steady. "Dreams don't bleed. Dreams don't beg." Her smile vanished. She bowed her head and her voice lowered to a whisper. "You are right. I am no dream. I am a mother." Her hand rose slowly, pressing against the cold wall beside her. Strange symbols pulsed faintly under her fingers, glowing like veins of fire under stone. "My children sleep beyond these walls," she said. "They are weak. They have not eaten for many days. They are bones wrapped in skin, eyes too heavy to open. Their voices are small now, like whispers fading in the wind. But they are alive, and they wait for me." Her words carried weight, heavy like chains pulling down on the human's chest. He felt the truth in her voice, yet also something else. Something darker. "Why me?" he asked. His voice echoed sharply. "Why not another traveler? Another stranger to feed them?" Her eyes flashed. Blue fire burned deep inside them. "There are no others," she whispered. "The city is empty, silent, only ghosts remain here. You are the first to walk these streets in many years. The ruins have been waiting. For you," the human's skin prickled. Waiting? For him? He did not believe in destiny, yet her words felt like iron nails driven into his mind. She stepped closer. Her presence filled the tunnel like a storm. "I cannot feed them," she said. "I am cursed. What I give turns to ash in their mouths. Only food carried by another will save them. Only your gift will bring them life again." Her voice trembled now, her body shaking as though the weight of her sorrow might break her. Tears, faint and glowing, welled in her eyes. "Please," she begged, her voice cracking. "They are all I have. If they die, I will be nothing, a shadow wandering these ruins forever. But if you help me, if you save them..." She took a deep breath, her words trembling like a blade about to snap. "Then I will give myself to you. My life, my loyalty, my soul. I will bind myself to your shadow. I will follow you across every world, every star until the end of time. I will be yours." The human's heart pounded. Her words were not just a promise. They were a vow. But vows given in ruins, in darkness, often came with a cost. He studied her again. The way her hands trembled. The way her voice broke. The way her eyes burned with both love and madness. He asked quietly, "What will they eat?" Her head lifted sharply. For a moment silence filled the tunnel. Then slowly her lips curved into a faint broken smile. "They will eat what you give them," she said softly. "Bread, water, meat, blood, life itself. Whatever you offer, they will take. But they must eat soon, or they will fade and I will fade with them." The human's chest tightened. Bread and water he had. But the way she said blood made his skin crawl. She stepped closer again, her face pale and sharp in the dim light. "Do not fear them," she whispered. "They are children. My children. They will not harm you, unless you betray them." Her glowing eyes locked with his. "Promise me," she said. "Promise me you will help them. Swear it and I will never leave your side. Break it, and the shadows themselves will rise against you." The human's breath came slow and steady. He had made promises before. Some he had kept. Some had nearly killed him. Now he stood in a dead city, in a tunnel carved by hands long gone, staring into the eyes of a woman who was not human, hearing her beg for the lives of her starving children. Her voice softened once more, almost breaking. "Please," she whispered. "My children are waiting. Do not let them die, feed them, and I will be yours forever." The tunnel grew colder. The walls seemed to lean closer. In the darkness beyond, faint whispers stirred, voices too weak to be clear. The human's hand tightened on his knife, but his other hand drifted slowly to the pack on his back. Inside lay food, his life. Enough to keep him alive for days. He stared into the woman's glowing eyes, and he wondered, if he gave, would he save them? Or would he be feeding something far more dangerous than hunger? The human followed the woman deeper into the tunnel. Each step seemed heavier than the last, as though the stone floor itself tried to hold him back. The air grew colder, sharper, biting at his skin. His breath fogged in front of him, thin white clouds that quickly vanished into the dark. The woman moved ahead, her pale glow faint but steady, guiding him like a ghost. She never looked back, yet somehow she knew he was still behind her. Her long hair swayed with each step, brushing the shadows as if she was part of them. The human's hand stayed close to his knife. His other hand gripped the strap of his pack tightly. Inside, his food felt heavier than ever, like it already belonged to someone else. The tunnel twisted like the throat of a beast. Strange carvings covered the walls, symbols that glowed faintly, pulsing like slow heartbeats. The human brushed his fingers against one as he passed. It was warm, too warm. He quickly pulled his hand away. The woman's voice drifted through the darkness, soft but sharp. "Do you hear them?" The human stopped, listening. At first he heard nothing but his own breath and the faint drip of water far away. Then slowly he noticed it, whispers. Soft, broken, overlapping, voices that did not belong to the tunnel. Children's voices. They were weak, almost fading like dying embers. He could not understand the words, but he felt the hunger in them. The desperation. The woman turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes catching the dim light. "They call for me," she whispered. "But I cannot answer them, not yet. Soon, when you see them, you will understand." The human's jaw tightened. His steps grew slower, his eyes scanning every shadow. The whispers grew louder as they walked, echoing like small hands tapping against stone. The tunnel opened suddenly into a wide chamber. The ceiling stretched high, cracked with roots of black stone. Faint light spilled in from holes above, casting the room in broken patterns of shadow. At the center stood something strange, an altar of black rock, carved with the same glowing symbols. Around it, the air shimmered faintly, as if heat rose from invisible flames. The human stopped, his body tense. His instincts screamed, "Danger!" The woman, however, walked forward gracefully, her hands brushing against the altar. She turned to him, her eyes burning brighter. "This place is old," she said softly. "Older than me, older than you. It was built for one purpose only, to keep them safe." Her fingers traced the glowing carvings. "When the city above fell, this place kept breathing. It hid my children from the fire, from the hunger of men, from the silence of death. But now even this place cannot save them. They need you." The human looked around. The shadows seemed thicker here, clinging to the walls, shifting when he tried to focus. He felt eyes on him, many eyes, watching, waiting. His voice was steady but cold. "Why should I trust you?" Her expression did not change. She bowed her head and her voice softened. "Because I have nothing else. I cannot feed them. I cannot save them. Only you can." She lifted her head again, and for the first time her voice cracked with anger. "Or will you let them die? Will you turn your back on children who have done nothing but suffer?" The human's hand tightened on his knife. He had seen suffering before. Whole planets broken, families lost, lives burned away by war and hunger. He had learned not to carry every burden or he would break, but this was different. He could not explain why, but her words cut deep. The whispers grew louder. He turned his head, scanning the chamber. The shadows trembled. Shapes moved at the edges of his sight, small, thin, crawling along the floor. He blinked and they vanished. He took a step back. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. The woman moved closer to him. Her voice dropped to a whisper, low and trembling. "They are near. They smell the life you carry. Do not fear them. They will not harm you, unless you give them reason to." The human's eyes narrowed. "What do they eat?" Her lips curved into that faint, broken smile again. "They eat what you offer, food, flesh, breath, it does not matter. All things carry life, and life is what they need." The human's chest grew tight. He reached back, touching his pack. The bread inside felt useless now, fragile. Would that truly satisfy what waited in the dark? The woman stepped back toward the altar. She raised her hands, her voice echoing against the stone walls. "Come, my children," she called softly. "Do not be afraid. He has come for you. He will save you." The whispers sharpened. The shadows grew thicker. From the cracks in the stone floor, from the holes in the walls, from the edges of the chamber, they began to crawl. Pale shapes thin as skeletons, eyes glowing faint like dying stars. Their limbs were long and fragile, their movements slow and broken. One dragged itself across the floor with arms too thin to carry its body. Another clung to the wall, its glowing eyes locked on the human. They whispered as they moved, their voices soft but sharp. The sound pierced into his head, pressing against his thoughts. The human stepped back, his knife now drawn. His heart raced. The woman looked at him with desperate eyes. "Do not fear," she said again. "They are only children." But as the pale shapes drew closer, their eyes glowing brighter, their mouths opening to reveal sharp, broken teeth, the human felt the truth in his chest. Children, yes. But not human children, not anymore. The chamber shook with whispers. The human stood still, his knife in hand, as pale figures crawled from every shadow. The woman's glowing eyes never left him, as if watching not his fear but his choice. The first child dragged itself forward, thin arms scraping against stone. Its bones jutted through its skin like sharp rocks under cloth. Its mouth hung open, showing teeth too long, too jagged for any child. Its eyes glowed faint blue, the same as the woman's, but weaker, like fading sparks. Another appeared, climbing down the cracked wall like a spider. Its limbs bent at strange angles, its fingers too long, its nails scratching deep lines into the stone. Its whisper brushed the human's ears, a sound like broken glass sliding across metal. More came, crawling, limping, pulling themselves across the floor, their bodies shaking with hunger. The human's breath slowed, steady but heavy. His mind screamed for him to run, but his legs held still. If he ran now, the tunnel behind him would swallow him whole, and these creatures would chase until there was nowhere left to go. The woman raised her arms. Her voice echoed in the chamber like a hymn. "My children, do not be afraid. Here is the one who will save you. Here is the one who will bring you life." The whispers grew louder, layered, filling the human's head until it felt like claws scratching inside his skull. He tightened his grip on the knife, his knuckles white. One of the creatures stopped just before him. Its chest rose and fell in sharp, shallow breaths. It lifted its head slowly, and its glowing eyes locked onto his. For a moment its whisper softened, clearer than the rest. "Hungry." The word was broken, trembling, but it was enough. The human felt his stomach twist. This was no simple trick of sound. They were speaking, weak but real. The woman lowered her arms and stepped closer to him. Her face was calm, almost gentle, though her eyes burned with intensity. "They are children," she whispered. "They are starving. Do not fear their teeth. Hunger makes all creatures sharp." The human said nothing. His eyes never left the crawling figures. The woman moved to his side, her voice lowering so only he could hear. "Give them what you can. A piece of bread. A drop of water. They will take it. They will live. And in return, they will remember you. Forever." Her words hung heavy in the air. The human slowly slipped his pack from his shoulder, never taking his eyes off the creatures. He opened it with care, pulling out a small piece of dried bread. His last, enough for one meal. Enough for himself alone. The children froze. Their glowing eyes widened, their whispers rising into sharp, hungry cries. The human's hand shook slightly as he lowered the bread to the nearest one. The creature reached out, its fingers shaking, its nails scraping against the stone. It snatched the bread, pulling it to its mouth. The human expected it to crumble, to rot, to vanish. But the child bit into it, chewing with sharp teeth, crumbs falling from its mouth. A sound like a low sigh escaped its throat. Its eyes glowed brighter just for a moment. The woman's lips curved into a faint smile. Relief washed across her face. "See?" she whispered. "They live." But the bread was gone too quickly. The child's glowing eyes turned back to him, hungrier than before. Others crawled closer, their whispers sharp, their arms reaching. More, feed." The human stepped back, his hand tightening on his knife. His pack felt lighter, too light. He could not feed them all. He would starve long before their hunger ended. The woman's hand touched his arm, cold as stone. Her voice trembled, but it carried power. "Do not fear. Give them what you can. They do not need to be full. They only need to taste life." Her words struck him like ice. He looked into her glowing eyes, searching for truth, but found only endless sorrow mixed with something darker, something she hid. The children crept closer. Their hands reached for his pack, for his skin, for his breath. Their whispers filled his mind until he could hardly think. Life, give us life. The human pulled the pack tight against his chest. His knife gleamed in his hand. His voice was low, sharp, unshaken. They are not children. The woman froze. For the first time, her expression cracked. Pain flashed across her face, anger in her eyes. They are my children, she hissed. You see only their hunger, but I see their hearts. They are mine, and I will not let them die. Her words echoed like thunder in the chamber. The creatures hissed softly, their whispers rising into a chorus of sharp sounds. The air grew heavier, thicker, pressing against the human's chest. The woman's voice softened again, almost pleading. Please, feed them. Do not let them fade. You can save them, and if you do, I will belong to you. Forever. The human stood still, caught between the pale, glowing eyes of starving creatures and the burning desperation of their mother. His food would not last. His blood would not last. But their hunger seemed endless. He knew one thing. Whatever choice he made in this chamber, it would not end here. The children were not just hungry. They were waiting for him. The chamber was silent, but it was not peace. It was the silence before a storm. The human stood at the center, his knife in one hand, his pack pressed against his chest with the other. Around him, pale shapes crawled closer, their glowing eyes fixed on him like predators circling prey. The woman stood beside him, her voice soft but sharp. They are weak. They are fading. One gift from you and they will live. Refuse, and you will watch them die. The human's jaw tightened. He had walked through ruined worlds before. He had seen death, but this was different. He was not just watching. He was standing in the middle of it with the power to choose. He pulled the pack open again, his fingers brushing the last scraps of bread inside. Enough for him. Maybe enough for one of them, but not for all. Never for all. The whispers pressed against his mind, sharper now, desperate. Give us, feed us, life. One of the children crawled forward, its bones shaking under its thin skin. Its glowing eyes flickered like a dying flame. It reached out a trembling hand toward him, fingers twitching as if even that small movement cost it all its strength. The human felt his chest tighten. Pity gnawed at him, but so did fear. He knew what hunger could turn a creature into, and he could see it in their teeth, their eyes. These were not harmless mouths waiting for bread. They could devour more than food. He looked at the woman. If I feed them, will it end? Her lips curved into a faint, broken smile. It will never end, but you will not fear it. I will guide you. I will bind myself to you. Together we will keep them alive. The human's hand froze on the bread. Forever hungry? Her eyes glowed brighter. Forever yours? The words struck him like iron, a promise and a curse in the same breath. The human pulled the bread free, holding it in the air. The whisper sharpened instantly, rising into a hungry cry. The pale children surged closer, their eyes glowing brighter, their mouths opening in jagged rows of teeth. But then, he stopped. His hand did not lower the bread. Instead, his knife glimmered in his other hand. The woman's face tightened. Her voice dropped, low and dangerous. Do not harm them. The human's voice was calm, steady as stone. If they are children, they will eat this bread. If they are not, then they want something else. Something I will not give. The chamber froze. The whispers hushed, sharp silence filling the air. The children crawled closer, but slower now, their glowing eyes burning hotter. The woman's voice trembled, breaking between anger and sorrow. They are children. Mine. Do not test them. The human stepped forward, lowering the bread in front of one pale figure. The child grabbed it, biting deep, chewing with sharp teeth. Crumbs scattered across the floor. For a moment, its glowing eyes flared bright. Then the bread was gone, and the child whispered louder, clearer. More flesh, blood. The human's stomach dropped. He had expected it, yet hearing the words broke the fragile hope that remained. The woman's glowing eyes burned, her voice rising, shaking the chamber. They are starving. Bread is not enough. Water is not enough. They need life. They need you. The human's knife raised slightly. His other hand gripped the pack tight. His voice was sharp. They want to feed on me. Her face twisted, sorrow and rage mixing like fire and ash. Yes, and if you give, they will love you. If you bleed, they will follow you. They will call you father. They will never let you go. Do you not understand? They will be yours as much as you are theirs. Her words struck him like chains. Father. His chest tightened, his throat heavy. Long ago he had known family. Long ago he had failed them. He shook the thought away. This was not family. This was hunger disguised as love. The children crept closer, circling him, their whispers drilling into his head. Life, give us life. We are yours. His choice was clear yet impossible. Feed them and lose himself, refuse and fight against them, or walk away and let them starve. The woman moved closer, her hands trembling as they reached for his arm. Please, she whispered. If they die, I die. If they live, I am yours. Save them. Save me. Her glowing tears slid down her pale cheeks. Her eyes locked onto his, burning with desperate hope. The human's knife gleamed. His chest rose and fell, slow and steady. He looked at her, at the crawling pale figures, at the shadows pressing in. And then he spoke, his voice low, steady, final. I choose survival. The chamber shook with screams. The whispers rose into a storm, sharp and furious. The pale children lunged, their glowing eyes burning with rage and hunger. The woman's scream pierced the air, her voice both sorrow and fury. You could have saved us. The human's knife cut through the first pale figure as it leapt. Its whisper ended in silence. The chamber erupted. Shadows crashed against stone, glowing eyes swarmed. Whispers turned to shrieks, and in the middle of it all, the human fought not only against the children, but against the weight of the choice he had made. The chamber echoed with screams. The human's knife flashed again and again, cutting through pale shapes that lunged from the shadows. Their whispers turned to shrill cries, sharp enough to make his skull ache. Still he fought, his breath heavy, his arms steady. But no matter how many he struck, more crawled closer. They did not bleed like ordinary flesh. Instead, they dissolved into mist, vanishing back into the cracks of the stone. Yet their glowing eyes remained, floating in the dark, waiting. The woman stood at the altar, her hands clutching the black stone, her face twisted between sorrow and fury. Tears of light streaked her pale cheeks, glowing faintly as they fell. You could have saved them, she cried. Her voice cracked like thunder, shaking the chamber. You could have fed them. Instead, you kill what is already dying. The human's knife dripped with strange ash. His voice was low, unshaken. I chose survival. If they want my blood, they will not have it. Her glowing eyes burned, but then, slowly, they softened. The fury in her face faded into something else. Something darker. Something final. She released the altar and stepped forward, her movements slow, deliberate. The pale children hissed and whispered, but as she passed, they froze. They bowed their heads low, shrinking back into the cracks, into the stone, their glowing eyes dimming until only shadows remained. The chamber fell silent. The human's chest rose and fell in heavy breaths, his knife still ready. The woman stopped before him, her thin figure trembling, her eyes locked on his. Her voice was soft now, almost tender. You would not feed them. You would not give. You fought instead, and yet, you still cannot escape me. The human's grip tightened. What do you mean? She raised her pale hand, fingers trembling, glowing faintly. Slowly, she pressed it against his chest, over his heart. You chose survival, she whispered. So I will give you mine. A shock of cold ripped through him. His knees bent slightly, his breath caught in his throat. It felt as though ice had sunk into his veins, rushing through his body, filling every corner with her presence. The woman's glowing eyes stared deep into his. Her voice echoed inside his head, clear and sharp, louder than thought. I bind myself to you, my life, my soul, my hunger. Wherever you walk, I will walk. Wherever you fight, I will stand. Wherever you breathe, I will whisper. You did not save my children, but now I will be yours forever. The human staggered back, gripping his chest. The glow of her hand faded, but the cold remained. It spread through his blood, his bones, until he could no longer tell where he ended and where she began. He looked at her with sharp eyes. I never asked for this. Her broken smile returned, sad and cruel all at once. You did not need to ask. You were chosen the moment you entered the ruins. Around them, the chamber pulsed faintly, the glowing symbols on the walls flaring brighter. Whispers drifted again, but softer now, not hungry, not furious, but watchful. The children had not gone. They lingered in the stone, their glowing eyes faint, their whispers hidden. The human's chest burned. He pressed his hand against it, feeling the strange cold fire that had taken root inside. Her voice echoed through him, though her lips did not move. You are not alone now. My shadow walks with yours. My hunger sleeps in your blood. One day when you are ready, you will feed them. One day you will understand. His jaw tightened. His knife remained steady, though his hand shook faintly. He felt her inside his veins. He felt her voice beneath his skin. And no blade could cut her out. The woman lowered her head, her glowing tears dripping onto the stone floor. You could have been their savior, she whispered. Instead, you are their keeper. Forever. The human turned sharply, walking back toward the tunnel, his footsteps echoing against the chamber walls. He would not stay here. He would not kneel to whispers in the dark. But as he stepped into the shadowed tunnel, the air changed. Every sound echoed twice, once from his boots, once from hers. Every breath he took felt heavier, shared. She was with him now, bound. Behind him, the chamber grew quiet. The glowing eyes of the children dimmed, sinking deeper into the stone. Their whispers faded to silence, but in his chest their hunger remained. The human pressed forward into the twisting dark, his knife still in hand. His mind burned with one thought, escape. But escape no longer meant leaving the ruins. Escape now meant fleeing from the thing inside him, the vow that had wrapped itself around his soul. The woman's voice whispered softly in his ear, though her lips did not move. Do not fight it. You are not alone. You will never be alone again. Her words chilled him more than the shadows ever could. He tightened his grip on the knife, though deep inside he knew. No blade could free him. The binding promise had been made. And forever had already begun. The ruins were behind him. The human stepped out into the broken city, the red sky pressing low above the shattered towers. Dust swirled in the wind, carrying the weight of silence. He should have felt free leaving the tunnel. Instead, his chest felt heavier than stone. Every step echoed with two sounds, his own and hers. Though the woman did not walk beside him, he felt her. Her presence lingered in his veins, cold as ice, steady as breath. You cannot leave me. Her voice whispered inside his skull. I am bound. Where you walk, I walk. Where you fight, I fight.
Where you fall, I fall. The human's jaw tightened.
He ignored her, but ignoring did nothing. Her presence sat inside him like a shadow stitched to his blood. The streets twisted, empty and broken. Once grand statues lay crumbled, their stone faces half buried in dust. Windows gaped open like empty eyes watching his every step. And in the corners of those ruins faint glimmers shone, glowing eyes pale and distant. The children had not followed him. But they had not vanished either. They lingered in the cracks, in the silence, in the breath of the city itself, watching, waiting. The human pressed forward, but the cold inside him pulsed with every step. It was her. He could feel her heartbeat inside his chest even when his own grew steady. You chose survival, her voice whispered, softer now, almost tender, so I will help you survive. My shadow will strike with yours. My hunger will feed your strength. You will never fall again. Her words were not comfort. They were chains. He stopped at a broken fountain, its water long gone, its basin filled with dust. He crouched, resting his knife across his knees. His reflection shimmered faintly in the cracked stone, and he saw it, her face faint behind his own. Pale glowing eyes staring back at him through his reflection. You are mine now, she said, though her lips did not move. And I am yours, his fist clenched tight. I didn't ask for you, her faint reflection smiled. Forever does not ask. The human rose quickly, gripping his knife. The air around him shifted, colder, heavier. Shadows deepened between the ruins, stretching longer than they should. He knew then this city would never let him go. Not truly. He began to walk again, heading toward the edge where the city met the desert wasteland beyond. His pack felt lighter now, nearly empty, but the true weight pressed inside him, crawling through his blood. Hours passed. The red sky grew darker, sinking into black. Strange stars glimmered above, sharp and cruel. The desert spread wide before him, endless dunes glowing faint under the alien moonlight. Still, her presence remained. Still, her voice whispered. They will call to you again, she said. Not here, not now. But one day when your path is darkest, when your body is weakest, their hunger will rise, and you will remember me, and you will feed them. The human shook his head, his teeth clenched. He had escaped the ruins. He would escape her too. He had to. But the cold in his veins told another truth. There was no escape. At the horizon, a storm brewed, black clouds twisting, lightning flashing in silence. He pressed forward, his boots sinking into the sand, his knife strapped to his side. Yet each step carried her shadow. Each breath carried her voice. Each beat of his heart carried her hunger. Night fell heavy. He stopped at a dune, lowering himself against the sand. He lit a small fire, weak and flickering. Its warmth barely touched the cold inside him. As he stared into the flames, he heard it again. Not her voice this time, another, soft, weak, familiar. Father. The word froze him. He looked around sharply, but no one was there. Only the desert, the fire, the endless dark. Yet the voice pressed again, sharper. Father, we are hungry. The fire hissed, sparks snapping into the night. His chest burned. He gripped his knife, his knuckles white. The woman's voice returned, low and steady. They are yours now. You are bound. When they call, you must answer. If you deny them, they will come for you. And they will not forgive. The human's breath came heavy. He closed his eyes, fighting the whispers, fighting the cold, fighting the shadow that now lived inside him. But deep inside he knew. He was no longer alone. And he would never be free. The desert stretched wide before him, endless and silent. He rose, packing his things, the fire dying at his back. Somewhere in the dunes, faint glowing eyes flickered, watching, waiting. He gripped his knife tighter, his voice low, steady. If forever has begun, then let it try to break me. The wind howled, carrying whispers across the sand, and in the darkness her voice answered soft and final. It already has.